Hi everyone, good morning. I have shared the Kahoot link. You can start joining. Yeah, well done, guys. Sir, we can start our session now.
Okay, sure, Asma. Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you all? So, guys, before starting the session, I just wanted to know that if anyone has any doubts from the yesterday's class or whatever the topics we have discussed, you can ask your queries.
Because actually your voice is very small. Is it only for me?
Yeah, your voice is very low.
Okay, is it fine now? Hello?
Yeah, now.
Okay. So, I was saying that if you have any queries from the classes that we have discussed as of now, just please let me know.
No doubts. Because
Okay. Mm, okay, yesterday I have given you one of the tasks. So, are you able to complete that task?
Yes.
yes, yes.
Okay, can anyone please show me those? First of all, please raise your hands. Those who are able to complete the task. So, okay, so I can see that only three persons has completed the task. How about the others? So, are you able to? I mean, are you on the same platform with others also, or you are facing some issue? Guys, please speak up. Balaji, Ajit, Siddharth, Surya, Shrikant, Dhananjay, Sudhir, are you able to complete the task?
Yeah, today I will complete. Yes, so yesterday I had some work in the office, so I couldn't complete.
Okay, no issues. Okay, so guys, today we are going to talk about the backbone of AWS. We can say that it is one of the most important service that we are going to use in our day-to-day life. Although we have discussed about the AWS IAM in a very detailed manner yesterday, from now onwards, what we are going to do, we are going to integrate one service with the other service. For an example, yesterday we have talked about cloud computing, we have talked about IAM. Now we are going to talk about the EC2. Okay, and in the EC2, whatever the use cases or the daily use cases we are going to have, we are going to talk about all those things. Okay, so let's start with each and every topic of EC2 in a very detailed manner. So guys, first of all, EC2 is an acronym for Elastic Compute Cloud. Okay, so it is a VM. It is a managed service which provides VMs or virtual servers. You can say. Okay, now, if I talk about the counterpart of this in the market, let's say we have GCP, because in the very beginning I told you that I'm going to relate each and every cloud service which are right now leader in the market, so that in the interview you should not be blank. Basically, you should know the fundamentals of the technology, although the name will be different on the other platforms. So into the GCP, the same service is called the compute engine. Okay, and in Azure the same service is called VM instances. Means the service which is named as EC2 or whatever the functionality EC2 provides us, the same service with the name of compute engine we have in GCP, and the same service with the name of VM instances we have in Azure. Okay, now guys, related to EC2, so you just need to click onto EC2. There you can see that you are getting multiple servers. Okay, so here, this is the complete dashboard of EC2. We are going to talk about the EC2, the instances, images, block storages, network and security, load balancing, auto scaling. Apart from this, you cannot, let's say if you are not going to use load balancer, or you are not going to use the EBS or network security, you cannot imagine to create an infrastructure. So that is why EC2 is going to take a very long time. Okay, because we are going to cover each and every uh, line in EC2. Okay, so first of all, related to EC2, once you click onto the dashboard, okay, so guys, this is the global view dashboard of EC2. Okay, here you can see that it's a free tier to EC2 free tier offer in user and all those things. So it is basically giving you a dashboard which is actually giving you the details that how many instances you have, how many volumes you are using, what are the placement group, what are the security group instances, is there any kind of a capacity reservations we have. So here we have all kind of details onto this dashboard. But before jumping into EC2, there are some you can say, okay, let me just come to this part. Once you click on instances, okay, so here you can see that you are getting the running. Forgot about this running and all those things. Once you click on launch instance, okay, so guys, while you are launching the instance, you can see that you are getting the application and OS images here. Okay, so these application and OS images are nothing but these are actually the ISO file of the operating systems that you are going to install on the respective VMs. This specific feature, now this AMI can be, AMI is basically is an acronym for Amazon Machine Image. Okay, it is an ISO of the OS that you want to work on. Okay, now when I say ISO, so guys, these ISOs are of two type. One is the custom and second one is the default one. So the default one which are available here into the quick start, whatever you are getting, which are not customized by my organization, which is not customized by the internal team, and those are completely available onto the Amazon marketplace. So this thing is basically, this dashboard is completely called as Amazon marketplace. So whatever the image is available on marketplace publicly, okay, I'm again repeating, whatever the image available on Amazon publicly is considered as the default AMI. For an example, in our case, we have the Amazon Linux. So once you click on browse more images, okay, here you are getting all the details. You can see into the quick start AMIs, you are getting 47 AMI. It means that these are the 47 quick start images, means which are commonly being used. Okay, and when you click on community AMI, so guys, these are the AMIs which are publicly available but are not uploaded by AWS. These are uploaded by some third party entities, some partners. Means AWS does not manage these kind of a AMI. Those are called the community AMIs. Okay, remember one thing, in the organization you need to use two kind of a AMIs. One that is available under the quick start, second one is the custom according to your own need. You are not going to use the community AMI. If there's a need to use the community AMI, you need to first customize it according to your organizational need, and then you can use it. Okay, means you need to customize the customized image. So here you can see that once you click on quick start, there we are getting all the OS categories and whatever the architecture we required. Let's say if you required Windows based images where the kernel is the Linux base or Unix base, these are all the images. Okay, but one more thing here, you can see that when you click on those images, you are getting free tier eligible only for these two images. Okay, so guys, it means that these images are available on free tier for the next 1 year since the time of your account creation. Okay, and this will be available only and only for the T2 micro type of an instance. Now what is type of an instance, we will talk about it in a later manner, but for now you just need to understand that only Amazon machine images which are created by Amazon, let's say, or you can say the Amazon AMIs are only eligible for the free tier. Apart from this, you won't see any image which is available for free tier, although these are available, but these are not going to be used as much as you are going to use for the Amazon AMI. Okay, now, but for our purpose we are going to use this Amazon AMI. We also have the Windows based images, whatever the server, for an example Windows 10, Windows 7, 8, whatever the Windows you can think of, all the AMIs are available here. You just need to select and launch the respective OS. These are the architectures. Okay, yeah, so let me just go back to the EC2. So here, once you click on launch instance, guys, let's talk about from this portal. From while launching this portal, we are going to have the complete session, because this will consist all your required things that you are going to use for managing the infrastructure. Okay, the very first thing is the name and tag. Remember, in the organization, this name right now, although we are giving it manually in the, but in the organization it will be a completely automated process where the image names are, sorry, the EC2 names are also going to be unique. Why we should make the unique servers? Because with the help of the unique server we can easily identify what is the requirement of this specific server. Okay, so let's say if I'll give it as test one. The next thing is Amazon and OS images, that we have already talked about what is the use case of it. So here you can see these are the versions of the images. Now here you can see that I have selected this Amazon Linux. These are the all the respective versions available for Amazon Linux. If I, let's say, select Ubuntu, so these are the complete AMIs available on the AWS marketplace for Ubuntu. Okay, so we need to select our respective one that we required for our infrastructure. So okay, so here you can see that we have Amazon Linux 2023, means it is created in the year 2023. The kernel version is 6.5. AMI means Amazon Machine Image. This is the AMI ID. Guys, always remember, you can use the same AMI to multiple instances. This AMI ID is basically a unique tag associated with your ISO image to identify that which image we are actually using it. Okay, in the organization, the complete work is gonna be on the AMI ID. It is not gonna be on the name and all those things. Complete work is gonna be on the AMI ID. We require 64-bit. Okay, now UEFI preferred means we are not gonna use the legacy mode here. Now here we can see that virtualization HVM. Okay, so there are two things that we need to understand here. So what does that mean? Let me come to this part, but before going to this, just wanted to know that you have any kind of a issues or any kind of, you have any kind of a doubt till this point? Just please let me know, then I'm going to process ahead.
No.
Okay, if no doubt, so guys, here we can see we have mentioned virtualization HVM. Okay, HVM means that is hardware virtual machine. Okay, and it is a fully virtualized EC2 instance which will allow the guest OS in our use case we are using Amazon AMI, okay, to run directly on the virtualized hardware. For an example, what does that mean? You guys must have used VMware in your use case. So what does that mean by HVM? So let's consider a scenario that this is your data center. Okay, this is your data center. In this data center, you have this one rack. There is another rack. There is another rack, and there is another rack. Now, let's say you want to launch a new instance. Okay, so what it is actually going to do? There is no kind of a you can say uh, a layer between here. Whatever the instances you are launching, okay, it is completely being executed onto the physical hardware without any kind of a, let's say, there is no multi-layer architecture or multi-layer para virtualization or virtualization here. Directly you are using those hardwares, so those are called the HVM. On the other hand, we have another term which is called the PVM, that is para virtualized hardware machine. It means that whatever the OS we are going to use, those are going to be executed from the these virtualized environment, not directly from the hardware. The best example of PVM we can give as the VMware. Okay, so AWS provides you the HVM mechanism to manage your hardware. That is why those hardware are more robust. Those are more isolated those are more isolated. Okay. Next we have ENA enabled. ENA is nothing but it is an acronym for Elastic Network Adapter. It will automatically attach a network adapter. Okay, that will give the public and private IP to your instances. This is the role of, and the root type EBS is nothing, so it's just a volume which is going to be attached with your operating system, and your operating system needs some kind of a space to boot up, and that space is being consumed from the EBS. Okay, next we have, here is the description. We have talked about the default user will be EC2 user for this. Now we got the best part here that we need to discuss is the instance type. Okay, what does that mean, and what is the use case of the instance types, which instance type we should basically use. So let's uh, have a detailed discussion onto it. So guys, we have multiple type of instances here. Okay, so instance type, the first one is the general purpose instances. The second one is the compute optimized. Okay. The third one is the memory optimized. The fourth one is the storage optimized. What is the use case of each and every instance type? I'll come to that part. The next one is accelerated computing. Okay. So these are some of the instance type or instance families. Now when we say general purpose, okay, so guys, general purpose EC2 instances are the one which are basically having balanced uh, CPU and memory. For an example, these type of instances, these general purpose type of instances will have the type as, let's say, the T type, the you can say T4G, T3, comma M, comma M7, So these are some of the examples. Okay, these are gonna be used when you are pretty much sure that your applications required a balance between the CPU and memory. Okay, for an example, we can say the web servers, the general purpose servers, the dev and testing servers, those can be launched onto the general purpose instances. Even you can, let's say if you want to have a more deep dive onto it, you can simply go onto the AWS official page. Okay, there you will get all type of instances available under the category of AWS. You can see the general purpose, you can see it provides a balanced memory and network resource. So these all are the general purpose type of instances. Okay, now what are the feature of those general purpose instances, guys? So those are larger instances in size. Okay, they have the optimized EBS. So if in a very short language, if I can say that whatever the instances that you required on your day-to-day basis to manage your applications, and while managing your application is not too much heavy that it requires the graphic card, your application is too much heavy that it requires some kind of a specific memory consumption, your application is not that much heavy that it is going to consume a lot of CPU, then you can go with the general purpose instances. So if you check here, T2 nano, T2 micro, T2 small example, if you come here and simply once you scroll it here, under you can say T2, T3A, T. So these all are the general purpose instances. Now the, if we can have the instances with T2 or T3, why we have created M7, M6. So those are general purpose but with some benefits. Let's say if you require some kind of a scalable processor, if you require some kind of a specific EBS optimization, if you required some kind of a accelerated extensions, or if you are creating your applications related to gaming OTT platform, so on the basis of that we can select the respective of general purpose instances. Next type of instances is called the compute optimized. So guys, compute optimized type of instances which require high CPU to memory ratio. Okay, high CPU to memory ratio means, example we can say that the instances which are too much uh, which require heavy computing, those are considered under the compute optimized. The best example for that, whenever you are building an application, a game application or a game server, it requires a very heavy CPU consumption. So in that scenario we need to go for the compute optimize. If you click here, are idle for compute binding application that require high performance processors, means whenever there is a requirement of the higher CPU consumption, you are going to use the compute optimize. The example for this will be media transcoding, or you can see the OTT platforms, processing workloads, or you can see the data science server, high performance web servers, scientific modeling, so gaming servers. So all these are completely be going to deploy onto the compute optimized servers. Okay, then we have the memory optimized. So guys, whenever an application which requires a heavy memory consumption and you require the higher input output value, input output performance, then in that scenario you need to go with the memory optimized instances. These are the type of the memory optimized instances. The best example of the memory optimized are, we can say that uh, the best example that is using right now the memory optimized instances are the Jubilant Foods, that is also known as the servers of Domino's. They are too much, they required a very heavy input output because they are running their data on real time. uh, any kind of a cab, or you can say the best example Uber, we can say Rapido, we can say, which requires the real time data input output. or real-time data read and write required. There we require the heavy memory. Although we can have, we can put CPU to the back seat in that scenario, but whenever there is a heavy requirement of the read real-time data, we should go for the memory optimized instances. Okay, then we have the accelerated computing. So basically accelerated computing are, you can say, those are going to be used when you have the pattern matching. The best example for this is uh, big data, where you have another example I can give you, the chat gpt. Whatever the servers chat gpt have, they are completely being on the accelerated computing, because it requires a heavy data processing in a very short span of time. They are more onto the cpu memory, and they require more than that. So in that scenario, they can go with the accelerated computing type of instances. We have the storage optimized. Storage optimized are basically the type of a servers which require high input output. For an example, so accelerated computing and storage optimized both are required in terms where we require the heavy input output processing. Okay, so there you can use the storage optimized. Then we have the HPC optimized, high performance computing. Basically, these are used for the uh, scientific purposes. In the general purpose, you cannot, you are not going to use this, okay, because the cost is also going to play a major factor there. So these are the type of instances that we have, and we need to choose a instance according to our needs. Okay, now if you have any kind of a doubt regarding selection of the instance types, then please let me know.
So basically, because so whenever we deploy any application, right, basically depends on the complexity and usage of that application, we'll select the instance type.
Correct. Basically in your organization, even in my experience I have seen that most of the time we are going to use a general purpose instances. There are rare chances where we are going to use the compute based and memory optimized instances. Memory optimized we are going to use when we have our database onto the EC2 instances. Compute optimize, but yes, if I say the ratio, in my career most of the time I have used the compute that is the general purpose type of instances.
Okay, if we require higher performance or anything, something like that, so we can extend things in the general purpose itself.
Yes,
Okay.
but there is a scenario while selecting these instances. So guys, there is a team in the organization which is called the performance testing team. Okay, the role of this team is to basically give you a requirement. What they actually do, they create a parallel infra to your production. Okay, they basically test the load on your server, that let's say if suddenly 7 million requests come to my server, then how my server is going to react. So on the basis of their requirement, we deploy our actual infrastructure into the production. Because let's say if my company's traffic is maximum, I expect that it won't go beyond 1 million. So they do the testing till 3 times of the actual infra. So in that scenario, whatever the recommendation they will give, we need to select the respective infra. Blankly, we can say that, okay, I'm giving you, let's say if you are working as an architect and you need to suggest the things that this infra should be choose, because as being an architect or as being a DevOps engineer, it is your responsibility to select the high availability infra with low cost. Okay, so you can suggest them that, okay, first of all, you should get the input from them. What is your exact requirement? What is the load you are going to have? What type of application you are going to use? So on the basis of those inputs, you need to select the respective instance family. And let's say if whatever you have suggested to them and it is not working optimally, so you can try to increase or decrease the infra accordingly. Am I able to answer your query?
Yeah, Vikas.
Okay. So if I'm able to answer your query, you need to give me the answer. I Because such kind of a, whenever you are going to appear into the AWS certified solution architect exam, or you are planning to do that, or you are planning to give some companies interview, so questions can be asked to you. Hey, my application is I want to create an application which required the heavy data processing. So what type of a instance, or what type of instance family I should opt out there? So as you know that your uh, respective application is going to consume a lot of memory, so you can suggest them that you can go with the memory optimized type of instances. So such kind of questions are asked into the exams and into the interviews. Okay guys, any questions? Okay, if no questions, then we have the key pair login. So guys, what is this key pair login? Already we have discussed this thing when we were talking about the SSH protocol. So key pair thing is, whenever you launch a server, okay, that server requires a public and private key to communicate with your, to connect, to allow the access to your server. Okay, and that key is called the key pair in law in AWS. Okay, into GCP or into Azure, those are called the SSH keys, and here we call it as the PEM file, or the key pair, or the key file. So here, let's say if I'll select this, so it means that I do have a private key of this public key on my local system. I'll communicate with the private key to the server. Okay. Now next thing is network settings. Guys, whenever you are not going to create a custom VPC, I'm again repeating, when till the time you are not creating a custom network in AWS, AWS will allow you to launch your servers on their default network, and whatever the details you are getting here, network, subnet, auto assign public IP, all these are completely coming from the default network. Okay, how to create a custom network, we will discuss all these things when we are talking about the VPC topic of AWS. Okay, now here there is a thing which is called auto assign public IP. Guys, in the organization you will always get this as disabled, because there we are using the custom VPC or custom network. So there is a no requirement for us to enable the public IP on each and every instance. Why? Because public IP costs a very heavy amount for your infrastructure. We simply assign two or three public IPs for our infra, and we are going to communicate internally between all those servers. Okay, now the next thing we have is the firewall and security groups. So what is this firewall, what is this security group? So security group is basically a virtual firewall that we are going to use, and it basically controls the traffic. Now when I say controls the traffic, it controls the incoming and outgoing traffic for your instance or for your network. Okay, so here you can see by default SSH is allowed from anywhere, so that any person can log in onto the system. Okay, we can also disable this and enable this. How to do that, I'll come to that part in some time. Okay, now configure storage. Guys, this is the storage, this is the general purpose storage we have. Although we are using 8 GB here, but in the organization it is basically according to your needs. It can be 20 GB, 30 GB, 50, 100, and so on. It totally depends what kind of a infra you are using. Always remember, if you don't attach the root volume, this is called the root volume. Okay, now what is this root volume, guys? So a OS requires a storage to launch to launch the operating system, and that is called the root volume. For an example, I let me just try to start one of my already existing server. So it's getting started. So now you can see this is getting started. So it requires a point from where it can boot up the respective files for the instance to come up, and that is being taken care from the root volume. Okay, so here you can see I have df-h. So when I use this slash partition is actually the root volume. You can see 8 GB. So this is, if you don't have this volume attached here, or you don't have any root volume in your instance will not be available, or it you cannot launch that instance. Okay, now here was talking about this one. We can add the other volumes also, or we can add the other hardwares also. Now here you can see the first one is the root volume. Now we are getting EBS volume. You guys remember, you can attach multiple EBS volumes. What is this EBS volume? I'll tell you. Or in a very simple words, we can say you can attach multiple hardwares to your one EC2 instance, but you cannot attach multiple root volume to your one EC2 instance. It will be a single root volume only. Okay, so if I remove this, then it it is going for the advanced details. If I'm using any kind of a IEM role, if I'm using any kind of a directory server, or any kind of a customization, I'm using shutdown behavior. Even I can change my shutdown behavior. Let's say if I'll click terminate, so what will happen whenever somebody stop the instance, instead of stopping it, this will be terminated. By default, let it be stop only. Okay, so you can see we have the termination protection here. We can disable or enable it while launching the instances. We can have the monitoring also, credit specification also. What is this? I'll come to that part. But the next thing here is when I launch the instance. Okay, so here you can see that the instance is getting created for me. Even I can check the billing of this on my billing dashboard. Let's say once you click on this billing and cost management, here you can get an idea of all the resources running in your AWS. What is the cost you are giving for that? Is there any kind of a alert related to security, or the amount is getting more than specified? So all these things we can have. So it will take around 24 hours to give us details, but yes, you can fetch your all the details related to billing from this billing dashboard. Okay, now you can see the instance is launched. Okay, now you can simply do whatever you want to do. Here we have this status check 2 by 2. Guys, this is very important to for you to understand what is this 2 by 2 check. Here you can see the instance which is running. One is having 2 by 2 check and another one is having initializing. What does that mean? Okay, so let me just tell you on that. Let's say if your 2 by 2 status check is not passed, okay, your server is not in a healthy state to be launched. What are these 2 by 2 checks? What is the use case of this 2 by 2 check? Let me just tell you. So this 2 by 2 check, this is an interview question, that what is the use case of this 2 by 2 check and what is the role of this. So guys, in the 2 by 2 check, the check number 1 is for the to verify if the AWS infra is working properly or not. So when I say working properly, basically it checks the power supply on the server. It can be from the data center end. It can be the network connectivity. Okay. And the third thing, it checks for the hardware. Hardware means that whether the CPU and memory are up to the mark. Okay. Now, when this specific check fails, what could be the cause for this? So the cause for this will always be from the AWS side. Okay, so whenever the check number 1 fails, the issue is always from the AWS side. What about the second check? The second check verifies that your EC2 instance OS is working fine. Now when I say OS is working fine, it is related to your customized OS or customized AMI image that you have launched. Okay, what generally this checks, it basically checks for instance of OS. Sorry, you can say that OS booted successfully or not. Okay, it basically checks that whether the SSH or RDP, whatever the uh, protocol you are using, is reachable or not. Okay, the third thing is check that instance is running and responding. So let's say if there is any kind of a failure from the instance end, this check will be failed. The what could be the common issues for this that makes this check failed? That OS is not booted successfully, and there is some kind of a firewall which is blocking to boot up. So these are the two major reasons that your checks are getting failed, or what is the use case of each and every check in AWS. Now if you have, okay, how you can resolve that issue? Let's say if the issue check 1 is failed, then simply stop or start the instance or connect with AWS support. This is the first thing to resolve this issue. And let's say if there is a 0 by 2, it means your both the checks are failed. Then you need to restart or you need to connect with AWS. If uh, your 2 by 2 check failed, means let's say right now we are getting this as checks pass, but instead of 2 by 2 we are getting failed, it means that we need to relaunch the instance. So guys, this is the use case of your checks. How you can verify? Simply start the server, try to connect with the server. If you are able to log in into the server, now it's mean everything is fine. If you are not able to connect with the server, it means there is an issue with the server. You need to restart it or connect with AWS support. Even you can check the health of those servers, that since when this server is down, simply go into the monitoring dashboard. There you can see that CPU utilization, network output, packet, all those things. So I'll come to that part when we are talking about the CloudWatch, but just for a very basic, we can check that whether the server is live or not. Why I'm saying that? Because AWS do regular maintenance. You will, as being a DevOps engineer, you will receive an email from AWS that hey, we are doing this maintenance, and if the services are interrupted during this time, this could be the possible cause. You will get email, such kind of a email from AWS. Now what is your role here? Let's say even after the maintenance, or when you come back, let's say when you relog in your office in the morning, and you encountered with some kind of a alerts that 2 by 2 check is getting failed for this specific instance, etc., etc., then it is your responsibility to make that server alive again. If you are not able to do so, connect with AWS support or relaunch the instance. These are the two things that you need to do. And why I have talked about this 2 by 2 check in a very detailed manner, in the interviews, the very first question related to EC2 will be taken care like this. There is a 2 by 2 check in AWS. What is the role of it? What is the check number one is for what purpose, check number two is for what purpose, and how can you recover an instance when the 2 by 2 check is failed? This is the very first question that you will face when you are appearing for the interviews and the topic is EC2. Okay, now guys, if you have any kind of a questions from whatever we have discussed till this point, just please let me know. Guys, you have any questions?
No.
Okay, if no questions are there, we need to, as being a DevOps engineer, or as being a system engineer, we need to, or as being a cloud engineer, we need to talk about the uh, costing as well. So how we can calculate the cost? AWS, simply click
Right. Later.
AWS cost calculator. This is the pricing calculator. So this will give you a rough idea uh, about the AWS costing. So let's say if you want to create an estimate, okay. So here you can see that it is asking, basically this cost varies from this region to region, although there is no drastic difference between the regions, but yes, there are some difference in the regions. So let's say if you go to region and you select the Mumbai region, okay, let's say you want to do the costing for the Mumbai region. Now you just select for this service, okay. So it will be an Amazon EC2. Simply click on configure, put all your requirements into this cost optimization, because as being a DevOps engineer, you can be asked, hey, I need to create a new infra. Can you please tell me that what is the cost I'm going to incur for that? So you need to estimate the cost like this. Okay. So here you can see we have tenancy, that is shared instance, dedicated instance, and dedicated host. What does that mean? I'll come to that part. Or let me just take this part first here. So guys, this tenancy means that what kind of a infra you are going to use. Okay, when I say uh, there are three kind of a tenancies. One is the shared instance, another one is the dedicated instance, and the third one is the dedicated host. By default, whenever we launch any kind of an instance, it is the shared instance. Okay, what is mean by the shared instance? Simply tenancy, shared instance, shared host, sorry, shared instance, dedicated instance, and the third one is the dedicated host. This is going to be taken care only when you are launching the instances, not other infra. So shared instance, so these are the default one. These are your default instances. Okay, so let's say in this scenario your instances basically works onto the tenancy model. Okay, for an example, let's say this is your AWS infrastructure. Okay, and this is your one rack or a physical server. Okay, now what they will do into the shared instance category, let's say they divide this into uh, multiple things. Let's say this one. So this is, you can, the best example of it is the rented model. Okay, so what they will do here, let's say you have this uh, this is your infra. Let's say here in this is the complete infra. Let's say this is the complete infra, let's say rack 1, or I can simply mention here as rack 1. So on this rack 1, not only you are going to be onboarded, there are multiple customers there. So when I say multiple customers, might be Groovy is there. Okay, might be you are using FB is also there, might be Google is also there, XYZ is also there, ABC is also there. Means this complete rack is not only reserved for you. On the basis of the availability, let's say it has the data around, let's say 20 GB, 20 CPU, okay, etc. like this. So if you required 1 GB, okay, and you required 1 core CPU, so it doesn't mean that it is going to reserve the next 19 GB and 19 core for you. No, it is not going to do this. This will be distributed among all the respective tenants that it has on the same physical server. Let's say the remaining will be the remaining will be diverted for FB, Google, XYZ, ABC. So what is the benefit for you here? The benefit for you here is that you are going to pay very less amount because you are running on a tenancy model. You are running on a shared tenancy model here. Means if you, let's say tomorrow you are not part of this, okay, or you delete your infra, so what they will do, they will onboard a new tenant onto this, into your place. They will onboard a new tenant. Let's say they will onboard tenant 123 here, because now Groovy is not part of this physical server anymore. So that is why this type of tenancy is the cheapest one when we are talking about the infrastructure tenancy. And remember guys, this is basically the use for general workloads. Okay, and the servers are on shared model. Okay, this is called dedicated instances. Sorry, this is called the shared instances. Okay, then next one we have the dedicated instance. It means that your instance is running on a dedicated host for you. What does that mean? Let's say if you want AWS to reserve this instance only for you, so they can do it. Example, let's say this is your host, this is your server. Okay, now let's say you have onboarded Groovy here. Now this complete server is reserved for Groovy. It doesn't mean whether you are using it or not, you are but this complete is reserved for you. Means if it is having 20 GB 20 core and only you are using 1 GB and 1 core, still the 19 GB and 19 core is reserved for you, and you are going to pay for that. So in a very simple language, we can say that it's a legacy data center management kind of a thing, we can say. Now, if we have the shared instance approach, why we are using the dedicated instance approach? Because according to the compliance needs of the organization, okay, according to the infra isolation, dedicated instances are being taken care. Okay. Next is we have dedicated host. So what does that mean? So the dedicated host, guys, you will get complete control of the physical server. Okay, you can launch multiple instances, you can manage, etc. So whenever you can whenever we go for the dedicated host approach, it means now, although into the dedicated instance approach, this will be AWS managed, but this dedicated host will be a blend of AWS managed and your management. You can launch your own license there as well. The best example is Red Hat has taken some servers from AWS and they have launched their own licensing model and they are using it. So this is the use case of using the dedicated host. Now if I talk about the cost, so shared instance is the cheapest. Okay, dedicated instance is having higher cost and dedicated host is having the highest cost. So now can anyone please tell me that according to the cost, which type of a tenancy we should go with?
The shared one.
Shared one. And according to the compliance, which tenancy I should choose?
Dedicated instance.
Dedicated or dedicated host. Okay, yeah. So I'm choosing the shared instance here, then I'm choosing the operating system as Linux. Okay, what will be my workload? Do I need to use it constantly, or there will be a daily spike traffic or weekly traffic spike or monthly? So I basically, this is according to the organizational need, but we generally take constant uses in consideration. Okay, number of instances, just give the total number of instances that are going to be used here. For now I'm just using 1 GB. Okay, now search for the instance type. So let's say if you are choosing, or let's say you require 4 GB and you require a memory of 14 GB, network performance you required low, instance family, let's say you want to go with T2 family. Okay, and so according to your needs, these are two type of instance families you can use. So let's say if I use this one, T2.x large. Now we have the reservation terms. So what does that mean by reservation terms? So guys, in AWS, you can reduce your cost by the use of the reservation terms. Okay, what does that mean? So there is, we called as reservation terms and payment option. So the very first thing here is 1 year reservation terms. So let's say if you are having the cost of around 100 USD and you have taken the reservation term as 1 year. Okay, so what it will do, and you are using for no upfront, means you are going to pay monthly. You are not going to pay anything in advance. So that is called for no upfront, and you take as reservation terms. So there will be a saving of around 20% from your total bill. So now let's say if your bill came out to 100 USD, you have to only pay 180 USD because you have the 1 year commitment with them. But if you choose 3 years commitment, okay, so this will have the maximum discount. If you use partial upfront with this, so it will you can say that for the 1 year with no upfront, you are totally paying 103 USD per month. For 3 years, you are paying only 70 USD. Okay, but if you use partial upfront, you are only paying 32 USD per month. But if you pay all upfront, you are not paying anything monthly. You have totally paid it in one go. So in this way, guys, you can easily reduce the cost of your instance. So let's say if you choose this one, I'm choosing 1 year with no upfront. Okay, and I need to use any kind of a other facilities as well, let's say reserved instance and all those things. So what does that mean? Let me come to that part, but before that, if any one of you is having any kind of a doubt till this point, please let me know.
Because in the tenancy,
Mhm.
we have dedicated host as well, right? So if I want to host 10 sites in one instance, so instead of going to shared, can I own the dedicated host and segregate the sites within that single instance?
You can do the same thing with any kind of a server. It doesn't relate it to any kind of a tenancy. Just need to change the path of the index.html. You can easily do that.
Okay, in that
See,
case, which one you feel will be better? Like, is it shared or
so this tenancies totally depends on the use case. Shared will be that you will have other tenants also on the same rack. Okay, dedicated instance, that this rack is completely dedicated for you. AWS is going to manage it for that. You cannot do any kind of a licensing mechanism on that. Dedicated host, dedicated host means the complete rack is dedicated for you. You have the access to it and do whatever you want to do. You can launch your licensing models also onto it. AWS doesn't have any kind of a compliance concern on that. So this is the major difference. Let's, in your use case, you can launch your website on any of the tenants, but regarding the costing, I would recommend you to go with the shared instance until and unless there is any kind of a company policy you have.
okay? Thank you.
Okay, now guys, there are some other type of instances we have. Let's say type of instances, not in terms of family, but type of launching of the very first one is on demand. On demand instances means they work on a pay as you go model. Okay, for pay as you go model means we have, it does not have any discount. Okay, then the next thing we have the reserved instances that we have already. Okay, so the reserved instances, whenever you have a commitment of 1 or 3 years, those are considered under the category of reserved instances, and you can get a discount up to 75% according to your uses. Okay, we have the third type of instance, that is spot instance. So guys, spot instance basically uh, works on the purpose of the bidding. Let's say you have some kind of a unused capacity. Let's say you have this rack 1 rack 2 example. Let's say you have this rack 1 rack 2 rack 3 rack 4 rack 5. Okay, now AWS comes, let's say you have used total this part of the total this part you have completely used this uses. Now you can see in this rack there is some kind of a space is still available that you cannot use completely for your infrastructure, but you require a very short time use case there. You need to test the things and you require the cheaper instances. So such kind of instances are called the spot instances. Okay, spot instances. So you have to use unused capacity. Okay, at massive discount, because for the AWS this is completely a waste for them. They can just put a bid for this, hey, I have this kind of a instance available with me, if anyone wants to use, just do the bidding for it and start working. So once people take this spot instance, it has some kind of a time limit, that let's say if you bid it for $70, okay, so it is available for you on $70 for the next few mm, hours or days, that is provided by AWS. If you want to use the same spot instance for the for further, then you need to rebid the things. If you are not bidding the things, the resources will be destroyed by automatically from AWS end. So this is the use case of spot instances. The benefit of using spot instances, that it can give you the discount up to 90%. But again, it has a very you can say, it has a infra which can be deleted at any time. So it is always recommended to use the reserved instances in AWS. Okay, so here now you can select, okay, whatever the plan you have, calculate, and simply once you click save and add service, so you will get a summary of the things. You will get the summary that okay, these are being created, or whatever the values you have given there. So I forgot, yeah. So once you click on view summary, you can see that total 12-month cost for this kind of a infra will be 1245 USD, because I'm not using any kind of a upfront or reserve instance kind of a approach. If I'm going to use that, I can get a discount up to 75% on the total billing. So in this way, guys, you can calculate the pricing of AWS. You can simply export this sheet and share with your higher management. Hey, on the basis of your requirement, I got this much of amount. Now do whatever you want to do with the respective amount, or whether you want to proceed ahead or not. In this way, basically, DevOps engineer starts working on the infra creation from the very scratch. And now this upfront, managing the upfront and all those things is completely a part of your finance team to connect with the AWS support and work onto the pricing model. That's it. Your task is just to give them a estimated value. Okay. I'll stop the instance.
So this kind of calculators will be available for GCP and Azure
For
as well.
every cloud, yes, for every cloud it is available. You can easily search out there, Azure calculator. So you can see you are getting the pricing calculator. Just select your respective uh, what kind of a VM you want to use and all those things. Click on estimate. You will get the estimated value, what is going to be used and how much it is going to be used.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
guys, any other?
because just one more.
Yeah.
So for reserved instances, once you check if it's 1 year or 3 year commitment, we won't be able to release it in between. Right? Is it possible to release the
Sorry,
resources? No,
sorry, I didn't.
once we choose 1 year, 2, 3 years of reservation on the resource. So will we be able to release the resource in between?
No, you have the proper agreement with the respective vendor, that why you are leaving behind. It is generally a scenario where companies do not switch. Why? Because transiting a complete infra to some other cloud provider or to some other provider is a very big challenge. It takes years and years to transit the complete, to migrate the complete infra. So that is why whenever anybody chooses any cloud vendor, they always go for 1 or 3 year approach. You can uh, cancel the agreement in between, but your payment is already being done. AWS, it is not a fault from their end. You are canceling the agreement in between, and you have already done the payment, so you won't get the refund of that as well. Because if I'll give you a scenario, mm, I have given a task that I need to migrate only a single element from GCP, sorry, from Azure to AWS. Believe me, guys, only a single element took around 7 to 8 months for the migration. I'm not talking about the complete infra. It was the single element. Why? Because we need to create the SOW. There is a discussion of the things. We need to, if we are opting for the other cloud vendor, we need to have a pricing model for both them. Then we are going to have the negotiations on the table that, okay, if Azure is providing you that much, I can give you that much of amount. So it's a very long process. So that is why, if you think that I need to migrate my infra to some other cloud vendor, it is easily going to take 1 to 3 years.
Okay. Actually, you said like we'll be able to calculate the prices, right? So are all those prices fixed, or is it something there'll be some still negotiations when
Negotiations
we?
are there. So for that technical TPM, that is the technical project manager from the AWS end, will be there, and there will be a finance team and the architect from your team. They are going to communicate with each other. They have the commitments before going on to the pricing model, and on the basis of that, you can negotiate the cost. That
Okay.
this is just a standard one. It totally depends that how much business you are going to give to the other vendor.
Okay.
Because I was given a task to completely migrate infra from AWS to Azure in 2019, and believe me, guys, the process is still in ongoing. It's not completely transited to Azure. Some of the services, or I would say 70% of the infra is completely on Azure, but still we have 30% on AWS.
Okay.
Okay, guys, any others doubt you have? Okay, if no doubt, then let's do one thing. Let's take a very short break of 10 minutes. Right now it's 11:26. Let's rejoin at 11:35, and we'll start the things from where we are leaving right now. Okay. Yeah, hi everyone. I hope all are back now. Hello. Okay. So now, guys, we are going to talk about some more details related to the dashboard and while launching the instances. Okay. So here, let me just show you one thing. Okay. So this is your one of the servers. Okay. And once you restart this server, let's see what it is going to do for us. I forgot the, just a second. So let me just delete this instance. Okay, not delete this instance. So I'm going to stop this instance. Okay. So I have stopped my instance. So here you can see that I have stopped the instance, and now the public IP has been removed from this instance. Okay, if I restart the instance, earlier I was having some IP related to, I think, 113 something like this. So let me just restart the IP address, so server, and let's see what happens. Either it is going to change the IP address or not. I'm talking about the public IP address, not the private one. Okay. Okay, so now here you can see that public IP address has been changed. Earlier, I think it was 13.201.15. something like this, and now it is changed. Now consider a scenario where this is your server which is required to connect with the your completed network. Okay, but because this IPs keep on changing, you cannot whitelist this IP. You cannot whitelist the newly created IP every time. So here we have a concept of elastic IP. Okay, here we have a concept of elastic IP. Now what does that mean, elastic IP, guys? Elastic IP is basically you are reserving a IP address in your infrastructure so that the same IP address you can attach to any of the servers. For an example, not only servers, to any of the AWS resources. Okay, so let's say if I'll stop this server. Okay, I'll simply, there is a, when you scroll down, there is a concept here you are getting as elastic IPs. Okay, so once you click on it, okay, you can see that you don't have any elastic IP address in this region. So what you can do, simply allocate elastic IP address, just give the name where you want to use. I'll give this one. Simply, this should be IP pool of v4. Simply click allocate. Okay, so now here you can see that one of the IP address, which is this one, I would say this is IP address. Allocated IP address is IPv4 address. Now if I want to attach this IP address to one of the instances and make it persistent, how to do that? Simply click on this. Okay, associate elastic IP address. Simply click, just choose the instance, this one, IP address, this one, elastic IP address, associate. Now what will happen, this IP address has been attached to one of your instances, and even your instances are going to be restarted multiple times. This will not going to uh, change. Okay, so you can see that it is stopped. Let me just start the instance. So now you can see that this IP address is not changed. Let me just again stop and start this instance so that you can verify that it's still the persistent one. So you can see that once I reload this instance, still the IP address is associated to it. Now, what is the benefit of using this public IP address in a persistent manner? Guys, in the organizations, you are not going to log in each and every server with the help of the key. There will be one of the jump host servers, okay, from where you need to log in. Now those jump host server will require some kind of an internet connectivity to so that they can connect with the external world. This elastic IP address, I'm again repeating, this elastic IP address will be attached to your jump host servers, so that if even your server got restarted, the IP is not changed. So now it doesn't mean that your rest of the servers require this public IP address as an elastic one. No, it should not be. You can have one public IP address, and under that public IP address, you can log in to multiple servers using this approach. Okay. Now, one more thing I wanted to show here. Although, let's say if I'll delete this instance, okay. So what I'll do simply, I'll I'll copy this private IP address here. I just wanted to show you that earlier, although this feature was not available, but few years back, this feature is newly launched in AWS. So let's delete this instance. Okay. So once we delete this instance, the IP will still be there. You need to release this IP address. Otherwise, you are going to be charged for that. And guys, Elastic IP is one of the costliest component in AWS. So that is why always, whenever you are using Elastic IP address, use it and release it once you are done with your changes. So I'll simply go to the Elastic IP address, click on it, actions, release. Okay, first I need to disassociate it. Okay, this one, disassociate. Okay, then let me restart this. Okay, and simply click on it, actions, release. Hmm, is it not deleted completely? So I'll go to the Elastic IP addresses. Okay, This one, disassociate. Okay. Mm, I'll delete it, but you need to release it from here. Okay, we'll do that.
Because while you creating the elastic IP, there is a checkbox and up for deassociating.
Yeah, but it will be deassociated when you want to automatically do that. But I don't want to do it manually. I want to do it. It does not exist. Okay, I'll do it from the net gateways. No issues with that. Okay, so it's released now. Okay, so you can see this IP address, because AWS takes 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes to apply those changes, because earlier we were having the instance. Okay, now what I wanted to show you guys here is, once you click on instances running, okay, I'll simply, I have copied one of the private IPs. Okay, so is this private IP associated with this one? No. I want that whenever I'm launching a new instance, it will have this private IP. Why? Because let's say if I'll try to clone an existing server, and that server is of DB, okay, and I don't know that where I have made the changes related to DB of that specific IP, and if my server got deleted, a new server will come up with a new private IP. But I want that private IP to be persistent. How to do that? Simply click on launch instance. Okay, select your respective server, let's say this one, and keep going under the key pair. Remember, you can only select the private IP persistent when you are launching the new instance in the same region. So in the same VPC, if you are launching it in some different VPC, it won't work. Okay, because we are using the default VPC, so we need not to worry about any new network. So scroll down, there is, we have advanced details. Okay, under the advanced details, scroll down, and we have, there is networking capacity. Where is networking? Yeah, so there we have this availability zone, public IP, and subnet is, what was the IP I was having? 3115. No? So 31.15. Advanced network configuration. Yes, this one. So here what I'll do, I'll give no preference, and under the advanced network configuration, wait, there I have inbound. Am I not getting this? No preference. Yeah, so I need to choose the respective subnet, which is this one, and then 15 dot na, yeah, so it should be there. And then I need to private IP, primary IP, this one. Okay, enable public IP. Let me just disable it. I'll just assign my primary IP this one, and let's see what it is going to do for us. So there you can see that when the new instance is launched, So the new instance is launched with the respective new private IP, not new private IP, with the respective private IP that you wanted to use. In this way, you can persist your public and private IPs. Now, if you have any doubt till this point, guys, please let me know.
So there's something, I mean, are two instances having same private IP? I didn't get what you are
Sorry, your
exactly.
voice is a bit choppy. I'm not getting what you're saying.
No, I just want to know if the two instances will have same private IP. Get what
Two
you are.
instances would have can have the same private IP when they are into different network.
Okay.
In the same network, two instances can't have the same private IP. But in the different network, yes, they can have.
Okay.
Guys, are you get so did you get the context that why we require this private IP persistent? In some cases, not in every case, but definitely in some cases we required it persistent. So do you get an idea that why we require this?
Is it something like if two instances, I mean, like DB instance are replica of another one? Is just the
Correct.
use case?
It is related to the it is required when when you required when the IP is very important for you. You can let's say if you have launched the IP, launched the server, and that server is related to DB or some caching server, or that server is whitelisted with the private IP, and you are not sure that what are the places or applications you have which are connecting with this specific IP. So the best thing is make that private IP persistent so that communication should not be lost. Although we generally whitelist in terms of the subnet, but if we need to uh, whitelist only a specific IP, then you can go with this approach. Okay, so now let's talk about new something very interesting here. We have talked about, according to the schedule, we have talked about EC2, we have talked about uh, AWS CLI, we have already talked yesterday. Some more important things are here that I need to capture. So, guys, there is a concept of the custom AMI, how we can take the backup of an existing server and we can relaunch a new server with the backup. First thing, how we can attach a new space or new hard drive to an existing server. So we need to talk each and everything in a very detailed manner. Okay, so let's wait for this to be deleted. Okay, so my this server is terminated. What I'll do, I'll simply log in on the server. I'll make some changes, and the agenda of this is to show you how we can clone an existing server or how we can launch a new server with the same specs. Okay, so let's say if I'll log in SSH test GUI, okay, Ubuntu. So EC2 hyphen user at the rate this one. Okay. Now guys, what I'll do here is if I go to CD home, okay, I'll create a new directory here. Let's say K2 or let's say GUI, something like this. Let me just go to GUI and let me just create one file. Let's say test.123. So I have saved this. Okay, also what I'll do, yum install httpd. So, and also systemctl start, start httpd. So I'll start this. Let's wait for 2 minutes to make this service available. Okay, so if I say netstat -t and lp, I'll cd etc httpd. Okay, so guys, there is a conf. Okay, etc httpd conf dot d. Just a second. Actually, I was, oh sorry, cd where www.html, and there we have vim index.html. Okay, I'll just simply download a context of hello world index.html. I'll show you that I'm going to launch a page, and we are going to launch the same page by cloning the things. Okay, so let's say this is something. Uh, I am going to, okay, so I'll copy this page. Simply I'll paste this page here. Okay, and systemctl start httpd. Okay, so history. Restart this service. So service is restarted. Let me just do one thing. http double slash I'll allow the traffic. So Okay, it will take some amount of time. Are the changes done? Yes, those are done. So you can see this hello world page is getting rendered. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is, guys, I'm going to create a clone of this server, and we are going to use the same clone to multiple, you can say, to launch multiple instances. Why it is required, I'll come to that part later on. But how we can clone this server? Simply click on the respective server, go into actions, click on image and templates, and simply create image. So once you click on create image, it will ask you that why you are creating this image, and there are some parameters it requires. Okay, so let's say I'll give test image AMI. So now consider a scenario from a default image. We are creating our own customized image according to our infra. Okay, there, if you want to enhance the root volume, you can do that. Otherwise it will take the default root volume size that you have for that server from where you are creating this image. Okay, create image, and now the image is getting created. Let's wait for a few more minutes to check that whether the image is getting created or not. You can simply click on AMI, and once you click on AMIs, you can see that this image is getting provisioned. Just scroll it, and you can see the status is still pending. Once this image creation is completed, okay, the status will be available, and then we can only launch new instances with this specific image. Let's wait for a few more seconds. It will hardly take 2 minutes. You can see the details we are getting. Image type is machine, EBS, this one, status is pending, HVM, hardware virtualization, machine, that we have already discussed in the very beginning of today's chapter. Okay, let's wait for this to be in available state once.
So because this image was created from an instance, right? So to create a clone of this from this image, should the original instance be always be running status?
No, it can be in a stopped state also. You can create a clone from a stopped instance also.
Okay.
It is completely doing, giving the block devices, putting all the details into the same resources, all the indexing it is doing by its own. So all the things are being done. Let's wait for a few more minutes. Meanwhile, if you have any queries, just please let me know, guys. So I think it's done now. It's still in pending status. Guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah, now you can see it's available. So let's do one thing. Let's try to install launch any instance from this AMI. Okay, I'll simply do one thing. I'll simply click on launch instance, and there I'll give test 123, something like this. Under the application and OS images, okay, I need to click on my images, and there you will get all the respective images which are owned by you or which are shared to you. Okay, simply click on this. Let's say you click this image. You can see this now image is having the name that you have given. Okay, now simply keep going, select the key pair whatever you want to give, and just click on launch instance. So if I click on instances, okay, you can see that instance is right now in a initializing state. Let's wait for this instance to come up. So this instance is running, I think right now. What I wanted to show you is I'll simply ssh-i test govee EC2 hyphen user. Remember, you have to use the EC2 user because in your previous instance from where you have cloned this server was also using the EC2 hyphen user. Okay, there we have. Now I wanted to show you that I have not installed any service, let's say cupsd, httpd. I have not installed it. This is being completely taken care or taken from the AMI that is cloned from a real server. And even once you do var www.html, there you find this file index.html. If you check the content of it, it is the same content that we have used. Even if you try to hit this URL, okay, I'll just check for the security group also that whether the ports are allowed or not. So if I click on edit inbound rule, I'll just add one more rule, custom TCP. Okay, for everyone, I'll use all TCP, save rule. I'll go to my respective instance, this one. You can see the IP is also different. Simply click on it, 80. See, it's rendering the same page. It means whatever I have cloned from an existing one is being available on the newly cloned server. Now, if you have any doubt till this point, guys, please let me know, and then I'll tell you that what is the use case of creating this image, what is the use case of creating these AMIs, why do we need to do that. Yeah, if you have any doubts, please let me know. Any doubts you have?
No, Vikas.
Okay, if no doubt, then why do we create the images? Let me just tell you, guys, in the organization you cannot use the custom images, sorry, you cannot use the default images. Why? Because default images are not as per your company's compliance. First thing, okay, it is not created according to your company's code. Company's code means, let's say, if I am a e-commerce company, my code is e-commerce, I cannot take a clone of an company which is working in some other domain. They have different code, they have completely everything is different, so you cannot clone that image. Okay, so what you can do, simply uh, create an instance, customize that instance, enhance the security into it, whatever the vulnerabilities you are getting into it, review it with your information security team. If you get all the checks that okay, I have tested and my as per my organization this image is perfect, then that image is called as the golden image. Why it is called golden image? Because it has passed all the parameters of your organization, and now from next time onwards, whatever the instances, whatever the pods, whatever the just servers we need to launch, we need to launch with this golden image. And simply the way we have used this thing, we need to create the instances, and consider a scenario where you need to enable the auto scaling. For an example, whenever a load comes to your server, suddenly the number of servers are getting increased, and in the backend we need to define the specific golden image that whenever a load increases, new servers should be launched from this specific golden image. In this way, this auto scaling or this AMI is required for you. Any doubts you have, guys? Even let me just delete this instance. Okay, one more question can be asked to you. Hey, can we copy the AMI ID from one region to another region? You can see that this is my Mumbai region, and if I go to my North Virginia region, the same image ID is not being used there. Why? Because AMI are always created on the basis of regions. You can see the AMI that I have created in Mumbai is not available in North Virginia. So can we transfer the AMI? The answer is yes, we can transfer the AMI also. Simply click on AMI. Okay, the AMI you have actions. Okay, and copy AMI. Okay, just give the destination region. Let's say you want to launch it into the North Virginia region. Okay, if you want to copy the tags, also copy the tags, enable time-based copy, or just according to the use case. Okay, copy the AMI. So once you click on copy AMI, it will start copying your this AMI for the North Virginia region as well, and you can use that image in the same way into some other region which is North Virginia. So once you jump onto the North Virginia region, guys, into the AMIs, it will take around 5 to 10 minutes depending on the size and the bulk operation that we are performing. Okay, yeah, so here you can see the image is copied to North Virginia region. It is still into the pending state. And again the question, do we need to give any separate permissions to that? The answer is no, because we have copied it. We have not done any kind of a permission thing while doing so. Whatever the things we have done while cloning the image, all the respective permission, all the respective tags, all the respective names, whatever the thing you can imagine are copied here. And the AMI ID will be having the same ID in both the regions. You can see that is 27227. This is the AMI ID. And I think, yeah, the AMI ID is changed into the North Virginia region. But yes, the functions and everything will be the same. This question can be asked to you, hey, how can I copy the AMI ID? And people are confused onto it. It's not a very big task. It hardly take 1 minute for you to copy your image from one region to another region. Any questions you have? Because I cannot launch new server, make changes, create the AMI for every region. So it's better to simply copy the golden image to all the respective regions where you are going to work. Guys, any questions you have? So it's still pending. Let me just delete it. It will be copied. Okay. Deregister AMI, delete associated snapshots. So this AMI is now deleted. Now the next thing here is, we have copied the AMI, we have created the AMI, multiple things we have done. Okay, but let me just deregister from here as well. Let's go to the instances. Okay, now let me click on launch instance. In the launch instance, when I was launching the instance, in the advanced details, okay, when we scroll it down into the advanced details, we have something called user data. Now what is this user data is all about? Guys, let's say you are launching any instance, okay, and you want that while the provisioning of the instance, there some pre-required packages should be installed, or a pre-required task should be done while launching the instance, because after launching you don't want to log in into the system and you want to redo all the tasks. And what you want, that simply do the task while the instance is getting launched. So there user data is required. How to do that? Let me just tell you. Okay, simply I'll click on launch instance, test, user data. Okay, so everything is perfect. Simply I'll go to the advanced details. Under the advanced detail, I have your user data. Now you have two approaches for the user data. Either you can either you can upload a script to it, or you can do the manual task. Okay, so let me just give a manual. So user data for installing Nginx and uh, Nginx and HTTP. Yeah, let's say instead of Nginx, both the things are HTTPD and Nginx in AWS. Okay, so this will be the script to install and okay, so we can simply use this HTTPD because Nginx is going to do the same thing for us. You can see it's just a script, the shell script that we have done, that is the bin bash yum update, install this, start, enable, and just echo it to this one. Okay, I am not doing anything once my server is ready. Also, what I'll do into the security group for your okay, I'll attach an existing security group which was having, I think, launch wizard 3 if I'm not wrong. Okay, and let's see the security group rules. Okay, everything is allowed. So yep, select this security group. I have given everything into my this one, and whenever I load this page, okay, I load this server, so welcome to my Apache web server will be visible to me. So simply launch the instance. Okay, I'll use the existing key. Just let me give the this key and launch. So I think the server is created. Yeah, so I think the server is running now. So simply what I'll do, this one, column 80, C. Welcome to my Apache web server page, and the same thing we have used into our user data. It should be the heading. So see, I have simply just launched the server. I have not logged in into the server. I have not made any kind of a changes. I just simply requested my AWS to please launch or to start the HTTPD service whenever we are starting the service. Starting the server. The benefit of using user data is you need not to log in every time on your server. Let's say this is only one server, but consider a scenario where you need to use 100 servers with the same specification and the same files. So are you going to log in on all the 100 servers and do the same thing? The answer is no. Simply just give the value 100, even you can 1000 servers, pass your user data, and all the changes will be applicable for your all 1000 servers. So that is the beauty of using user data in EC2 instances. Guys, any questions you have, just please let me know then. Even I can log in into the server and I can show you also that I have not done anything here. Okay, so if you check the history, is completely the history is we have not written anything into it. If you check the net stat, see HTTPD service is running on port 80, and we can easily listen the web URL onto the website, onto the web. We can easily render the page onto the web URL. Yeah, if you have any questions till this point, just please let me know. Guys, any questions you have? I think someone has raised a Mahesh. No. Okay. So, if no questions, then okay. Here, so we have touched most of the important things into the instances. Another thing that is required for you to understand the things is, I'll first of all delete this instance. How can you attach a new volume to AWS servers? Okay, or how can you manage those? So let's take an example that, okay, let's take one of the example is, mm, yeah, how can you attach a volume? I'll talk about the root volume after some time, but how to attach a new volume? So simply click on this one. Okay, there we have the storage where we can see the instance storage. Okay, so simply go to EBS volumes. Okay, you can see you already have 8 GB of volume. Create a new volume. Now this volume will be the general purpose one. Guys, always remember the volumes are incremental in manner. You can always increase them, you cannot decrease the volume. Okay, so whenever there is a requirement for you to increase the volume in your organization, make sure to only increase the required amount, otherwise you are going to be charged for that. Let's say if you are getting an alert that 80% of the consumption is there and you cannot delete an existing data, then according to your logic you can increase, let's say 20 GB, 30 GB, or you can get an rough idea that per day basis how much data is being invoked by my server. So on the basis of that you can increase. Okay, so for now I'm just making it 10 GB. Okay, simply here and create this volume. Let's wait for this volume to be ready. Just scroll it there. It is in available. It is right now not attached. Available means the volume is created but not attached to any resource. Okay, and in use means it is attached and being used by any instance. So if you want to use this, simply click on the respective server, sorry, respective volume, actions, attach volume, give the respective instance ID. So you can see one more thing, that volumes are always the zone, uh, they are redundant on zone. Means if a server is running in AP South 1A, then and volume is launched in AP South 1A, then only you can attach it. If the server is in 1B and volume is in 1A, you cannot do that. Okay, so I think I have done the same mistake here. I'll go to the instances once again. I'll check that in which region the server is running. Server is running in 1B. So I need to recreate this volume because I cannot change the reason for the volumes. Okay, I'll simply go here. I'll delete this volume. Create volume. Okay, I'll give 10 GB. I'll select the region 1B and simply create volume. Okay, so it is available. Click on it, attach volume. You are getting the server. Click on it, device name, it should be this one. Okay, by default it, but if you want to change the device name, you can change it according to your use cases. I'll use SDB. Okay, here you can see that dev xvda and SDB. Guys, always remember the root volume will have X as their prefix, and the EBS will have S as their prefix. Attach volume. Okay, now let's check on our server that whether the volume is available for us or not. So to check the volume, can anyone please tell me what command I should use? Guys, I'm asking to you, can anyone tell me that how can I check that how much storage is available on my system?
LS LTR.
No, ls-ltr is for listing the directory.
DF.
Correct. It's df-h. So here you can see that I have my root volume of 8 GB, but I still am not able to get the volume of 10 GB that I have attached. The reason for that, because you have attached a raw volume to your server, you need to do some adjustment for that. What to do? LSBLK. Okay, you can see X LSBLK means list block, means list all the volumes which are either attached or not attached on my list all the volumes which are attached on my server but are not visible under df-h. So you can see xvdb is there. You need to mount this volume, then only you can use it. So how to do that? So guys, you can see I forgot the command, so for that I'm just using the mount EBS on EC2. I forgot the few of the commands, that is why I'm using it. Okay. So the very first thing, df-th, check that which uh, file system your system is using. So your system is using XFS. So first of all, you need to uh, format your this file storage with XFS. So how to do that? mkfs, okay, dot xfs means make format with the format xfs for what? For dev xvdb. Okay, so now you have formatted it. Now next thing, there should be a mount point, means there should be a C drive, D drive, or some drive in your system to mount it. So just create a directory, let's say mkdir. I'll create a directory with the name as storage, something like this, storage. Okay, so now you have created a directory, you have mounted a directory. Now let's do one thing, mount, okay, slash dev xvdb with what? With storage. So once you do this and you do df-h, it is still not there. The reason for this is I'll we have this one, we have done this part, mk, we have done this part, we have done this part. Oh, for wait, uh, lsblk, it's xvdb mount dev xvdb, and with what? With slash storage. Okay, dir mount hyphen a, see, it is visible here, 10 GB space is visible for you to use. And now you need to make these changes persistent. Okay, how to make the changes, or how to, because if you, I'll show you, if you reboot this server, okay, just allow me a minute guys, someone is on the door. Just wait for this server to come up once. Yeah, so let me just log in. And now once you do df-h, you can see that your root storage has been vanished from here. Why it has been done? The reason for that is because we have not made our changes persistent. So how to make the changes persistent? There is a thing which is called etc step. Okay, before that you need to use blkid, that is blkid, that is the block id, which means it will give the id of each and every volumes attached to your system. So you can see we have xvdb and this is the volume for that. I'll simply copy all the details here, paste it here. Okay, vim etc fster, and there you can see we have the entries for this one and we have entries for another one. Let's do one thing, yyp, let's make changes for our block as well. So for xfs we have this one. Okay, I'll simply paste my respective details, the uuid, that is the block id for this volume, this one. Okay, just give the slash storage, okay, this one, and that's it. Just let me just revalidate once. First, yeah, slash data, and we have done this part. Have xfs, after xfs no fail, this part. Okay, that you can copy from Google, because every syntax we won't be able to remember. So yes, paste it, and now just save the changes and do mount space hyphen a. Okay, it says mount point does not exist. Slash root. Now you can see it is available, and if I reboot the server, let's wait for this server to come up once. And once you do df-h, it is still removed. Why? Wait. Then root storage. Yeah, root storage is there. Yes. So you can see the storage is still there. It is persistent. Might be there is some kind of caching here. So yeah, you can see the volume is created. In this way, guys, you can make your volumes persistent. And remember one thing, whenever you are making any changes to this, okay, make sure that you are making the correct changes, because if there is any kind of a misconfiguration happened in this etcfs tab file and you reboot the server, believe me, your server won't come up. You need to recover that server. That is the only thing that you can do. Apart from this, if you think that you can relaunch the server, you can't do. You need to create a new server with the new specification. That is why it is always recommended to make the configuration wisely in this etc fs tab. Yeah, if you have any questions now, please let me know.
Yeah, because one question. Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please tell me.
yeah. Initially, we created a volume, right, with a different name, like slash dev sba or s something with s prefix.
It okay. Which one? You are
While creating a
asking
volume
this
in
one.
AWS. No,
This
not with XVDB, but while creating a volume, we selected a volume name.
it was this one. Dev SDB. This is the type of a volume.
Okay, but there it mentioned yes something in the screen. While
Let me just show you.
The X is
Uh,
for root volume and S is for ABS volume, I guess.
yes. Yeah, but into your server, those the S was onto the console. But in your server, when you configure it, it will be S. S is for the storage.
Okay,
So it will be into this. So whatever the device name you have, it will have xvda, xvdb, something like this in your server, I would say. But once you check in on your console, it will have something like, let's say, sbd s. But you just need to focus on the which partition, whether a, b, c, something like this. You need to focus on that.
okay, okay.
Guys, any other questions you have? Okay, we can take the backup of this volume also. This is called snapshot, which is a longer I would say a time consuming task that we will cover up in our next class. Meanwhile, if you have any doubt till this point, just please let me know, because if I'll jump onto the volume part, things are going to be a little bit trickier for you. I want you guys to please do the practice first, then we will discuss the rest of the things. And believe me, whatever the task I'm doing, you are going to do the same task in your operations on daily day-to-day basis. It is a completely a production based scenarios that we are discussing here. I'll in the coming class I'll also show you that how you can recover uh, a server uh, which is which got corrupt.
Because can you summarize the volume topic just like that? 2 seconds.
Okay, so regarding the, but volume is something a different topic. I have just shown you that how you can attach a new volume to your existing EC2 instance. So for that, what you need to do, simply create a volume, just give the respective size, whatever you want. Always remember, you need to give the volume in the same zone, in the same availability zone where your volume is, where your EC2 instance is created. Sorry guys, yesterday I forgot to tell you few differences that I'm going to cover up right now. Okay, but before that, let me answer your query. So availability zone, okay, just select that, and once you click on create volume, after that all the task you need to perform is completely attach this volume to the respective EC2 instance and perform these commands. First of all, in this mkfs.xfs, actually you are formatting your file with the desired format. Let's say you can check that which file system is being used, so you can see xfs is there, xfs is there. Just check the root volume. If it is xfs, make all your sub storage or the other storages with the same format. After that, just you are creating a reference point that where what should be, let's say in windows we have c drive, d drive, e drive. In the same way, I'm creating slash storage, something like this, attaching my volume with this slash storage so that it can be referenced with this point. That's it. This is all what I'm doing here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So guys, yesterday I forgot to tell you one more thing related to AWS. So guys, in AWS we have three things: region, zone, and edge location. Okay. Now, what is region? What is zone? What is edge location? So, guys, region, it is a geographical location of your data center, of your data centers. For an example, when I say geographical location, here you can see Mumbai, here you can see North Virginia, Ohio, North California, Oregon. So these are the regions, means these are the geographical location where your data centers are situated. In, let's say, in Mumbai, I have seen the Mumbai data center. So one is in Powai and another one is in into the Virar area. So you can see the difference between the two data centers. One is in, I would say, just north, and another one is in south. Okay, why it is two? Because let's say if there is some kind of a natural disaster in one of the regions, in one of the availability zones, okay, then still the data is getting populated from the other availability zone. So that is called the region. Now second thing is the data center, guys. Sorry, zone. So zone is nothing but it is the actual location where your physical data center exists. Physical data centers exist. Okay, so guys, in a region, we can have multiple zones, but minimum two are required. Maximum, I have seen three availability zones in my career, but you can have more than that as well. Means you are having three different data centers into that specific region. When we have two availability zone, it means physically there are two data centers there. So this is the role of zone. Now the third one is the edge location. Edge location is nothing but these are small network locations which are used to cache your data and render it a bit early. Means let me give you an example. First of all, let's consider an example. We have a reason. Let's say this is my reason. Okay, this is my reason. Reason one, reason two. Under this reason, I will have the availability zones. Let's say two availability zones, three availability zones. So this, the above part is called the reason, which is the geographical location. I have reason and the reason. Now rest of the things, let's say this one, it is my az1, az2 and az3, means availability zone 1, 2, 3. These are my actual physical data centers. Now let's talk about the availability zones are always under the region. Okay, now the next thing here is the global edge locations. What is edge location? Guys, consider a scenario that your, the best example I can give you, Facebook is having their data centers in US. Okay, but if they don't have any centralized location in between India and US, you can imagine the time it is going to consume to fetch the data from the Facebook data center and render it to the user who is sitting in India. It is going to take a lot of time. So in that scenario, edge locations comes into the picture. Edge locations are smaller network across the globe. Okay, let's say this one. Now let's consider a scenario where there I have a user. Okay, this is my users. Now user basically fetches a data, and the data center is in US. Okay, for the very first time, once the user fetches the data or renders the data, it is going to take some amount of time. And now what happened, from these data centers, all the edge locations are in sync, that it will sync all the data together. Okay, and all are in sync. Now let's take another scenario. Next time any new user want to fetch the data, now what will happen next time, the data is not going to render directly from the data center. The data is going to render to the nearest edge location the user have. So now what it will do, it will reduce the cost of the data renderings, the bandwidth, and the time of data rendering. So this is the role of edge locations. Basically these are going to cache your data. Let's say I'm into Mumbai, the nearest edge location that I know from my location is Delhi. So now whenever I do anything, the data is not getting fetched from Mumbai, it is actually getting fetched from Delhi, because the data is saved there in caching. So because Delhi is very near to my location, so it will render data to me in a very fast manner. So that is the beauty of uh, creating the edge locations. Edge location, in a very simple language, you can consider the mini data centers, which is not having the complete or a bulk data center terminology. It will have a mini data center. A 3 rack, 4 rack data center will be there, which will fetch the data for you. That's it. So that is the use case of edge location. Now, if you have any kind of a doubt between reason, availability zone, and edge location, please let me know. Guys, any doubt you have?
Vikas.
Okay, if no doubt, then let's do one thing. Let's wrap up our class today here. I would request all of you to please do the practice of whatever the things we have done, so that in next class we can do some more complex production based scenarios. Okay, so I think also I'll show you that how I can remove this volume. I have used this 10 GB. Simply click on force detach volume, detach, force detach. I have already removed my entries from ETCFS tab. Okay, this is being detached if I'm not wrong. Yes, it is detached. Click on it, click on actions and delete volume. Click on delete and delete. Yes. So in this way you can delete the volume, and now once you uh, reboot the system, you see that your system will come up without any kind of a interruption. So it's going to take few minutes. I was able to detach my uh, volume, which is not root, because my complete data is being written to the root volume. If it is a root volume and I want to detach it, I need to first stop the instance. I need to detach the volume. Then I have to attach the same volume to some other server, and then I can launch it. So it's, you can see that I'm able to log in onto my system. If you check etcfs tab, no entry is there. If you check df-th, root storage is not there. So in this way you can attach and detach a volume to your system. Now guys, one more thing here. Right now I have shown you to attach or detach a volume by restarting the server. We can do the same thing without restarting the server, because in the production we cannot restart the server frequently. So how to do that and how to increase an existing volume, that we are going to talk about in our next class. Okay. So if you have any doubt, yeah, Vinod, please tell me. I think you have raised your, you have any query.
No, because I haven't raised.
Okay. So I think guys, we are all good. We can wrap up this call here, and let's rejoin in our next class, and we'll process ahead. Okay guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.